The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Chinese proverb. This ancient wisdom holds a powerful truth. It's never too late to begin. Your dreams don't have an expiration date. Your potential doesn't fade with age. The only time that truly matters is now. Hello, friends. Welcome to a story that will change how you think about time, age, and possibility. If you've ever thought you're too old to start something new, this message is for you. Before we begin, please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell. Your journey to inspiration starts here. Now, let me share stories that will prove it's never too late to become who you want to be. The myth of perfect timing. We live in a world obsessed with youth. Everywhere we look, we see messages telling us that success belongs to the young. 20-year-old tech billionaires, teenage Olympic athletes, child prodigies playing concert halls before they can drive. These stories are inspiring, but they create a dangerous myth. The myth that if you haven't made it by a certain age, you've missed your chance. That there's a window of opportunity, and once it closes, it's closed forever. This is a lie. The truth is that some of the most successful, most fulfilled, most impactful people in history started late. They didn't find their calling in their 20s. They didn't achieve their dreams before 30. Some didn't even begin until they were 50, 60, or 70 years old. And yet, they changed the world. Let me tell you their stories. Colonel Sanders, starting at 65. Harlan Sanders was a failure for most of his life. He tried many jobs and failed at most of them. He was a farmhand, a streetcar conductor, a soldier, a railroad fireman, a lawyer, an insurance salesman. He failed at all of them. At age 40, he started running a service station in Kentucky. He began cooking chicken for travelers who stopped for gas. His chicken was delicious. He had developed a special recipe using 11 herbs and spices. People loved it. He moved to a restaurant across the street and kept cooking. For years, Sanders ran his restaurant, serving his famous chicken. He wasn't rich, but he was making a living. Then disaster struck. A new interstate highway was built, bypassing his town. Travelers no longer came through. His restaurant failed. He was forced to close. Harlan Sanders was 65 years old. He had $105 from his first Social Security check. Most people his age were settling into retirement, content to rest after a lifetime of work. Sanders had failed at almost everything he'd tried. He had every reason to give up, but he didn't. Sanders had faith in his chicken recipe. He believed it was special. So he loaded pressure cookers and spice packets into his old car and started driving. He went from restaurant to restaurant, cooking his chicken for owners, trying to convince them to use his recipe. In return, he would get a small payment for each piece of chicken they sold using his method. Restaurant after restaurant rejected him. No, thanks. Not interested. It's not that good. Sanders faced rejection after rejection. He slept in his car. He ate cheap food. He kept driving, kept cooking, kept trying. He was rejected 1,009 times. 1,009 no's. But on the 1,010th try, a restaurant owner said yes. Then another. Then another. Slowly, Sanders built a network of restaurants using his recipe. He called it Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC. By the time Harlan Sanders died at age 90, KFC had become one of the largest restaurant chains in the world, with over 6,000 locations. The image of Colonel Sanders, white suit, white beard, black string tie, became one of the most recognizable faces on Earth. He started at 65. He faced over 1,000 rejections. But he didn't let age or failure stop him. He proved that it's never too late to build something amazing. Vera Wang, finding her passion at 40. Vera Wang seemed to have her life figured out. She was a successful figure skater as a teenager, competing at national levels. When she didn't make the Olympic team, she pivoted to fashion journalism. For 17 years, she worked at Vogue magazine, eventually becoming a senior fashion editor. Then she moved to Ralph Lauren and worked there for 2 years as a design director. Wang was successful by any measure. She had a prestigious career in fashion. She made good money. She was respected in her field. But at age 40, Vera Wang was getting married. When she went shopping for a wedding dress, she couldn't find what she wanted. Everything seemed too traditional, too fussy, too old-fashioned. She wanted something modern and elegant, but nothing fit her vision. So she decided to design her own dress. That decision changed her life. After designing her own wedding gown, Wang realized what she truly wanted to do. Not edit fashion, not work for someone else's brand. She wanted to design wedding dresses. At age 40, an age when many people feel stuck in their careers, when starting over seems impossible, Vera Wang opened her own bridal boutique in New York City. People thought she was crazy. Starting a business at 40? In the competitive world of fashion? With no formal training in design? It seemed like a recipe for failure. But Wang had vision, experience, and determination. She brought a modern sensibility to wedding fashion. Her dresses were elegant and sophisticated, different from anything else available. They were works of art that made women feel beautiful. Celebrities started wearing her designs. Then their friends wanted Vera Wang dresses. Then everyone wanted them. Her boutique grew into a fashion empire. Today, Vera Wang is one of the most famous and influential designers in the world. Her name is synonymous with elegance and style. She didn't start until 40. She had no formal design training. But she had passion, and she had the courage to begin. Laura Ingalls Wilder, publishing at 65. Laura Ingalls Wilder lived an extraordinary life. She was born in 1867 in a log cabin in Wisconsin. Her family were pioneers, moving west across America in a covered wagon. Laura experienced the hardships of frontier life, harsh winters, crop failures, illnesses, poverty. As a teenager, she became a teacher. At 18, she married Almanzo Wilder. They homesteaded in South Dakota, struggling to make their farm succeed. They faced drought, debt, and the death of their infant son. Life was hard, often cruel. For decades, Laura worked as a farmer's wife. She raised chickens, tended a garden, made butter to sell. She helped run the farm. She raised her daughter Rose. She wrote articles for farming newspapers, giving advice to other rural women. Life was simple and difficult. Then the Great Depression hit. Laura and Almanzo, now in their 60s, struggled financially like everyone else. Laura's daughter Rose, who had become a successful writer, suggested that Laura write down the stories of her childhood. People would want to read about pioneer life. Rose said, "Your stories are interesting." Laura was 63 years old. She had never written a book. She had only written short articles. But she sat down at her desk with pen and paper and began to write. She wrote about her childhood in the big woods of Wisconsin. She wrote about traveling west in a covered wagon. She wrote about life on the prairie. She wrote in longhand, filling notebook after notebook with her careful script. She was 65 years old when she finally finished her manuscript. She called it Little House in the Big Woods. Publishers rejected her at first. Too simple. Too old-fashioned. Children wouldn't be interested in stories about pioneers. But finally, Harper Brothers agreed to publish it in 1932. The book was a success. Children loved reading about Laura's adventures. They wanted more stories. So Laura kept writing. She published Little House on the Prairie when she was 68. On the banks of Plum Creek when she was 70. She continued writing into her 70s, publishing 9 books in total. Today, Laura Ingalls Wilder's Little House books are beloved classics. They've sold millions of copies. They've been translated into dozens of languages. They inspired a television series that ran for 9 years. Generations of children have grown up reading about Laura's pioneer adventures. She started writing books at 65. She became one of the most beloved children's authors in history. She proved that it's never too late to share your story with the world. Julia Child, discovering cooking at 37. Julia Child was tall, awkward, and had a distinctive high-pitched voice that made people laugh. She worked in advertising and media during World War II. Then she married Paul Child, and they moved to Paris when Paul was assigned there for work. Julia was 37 years old when she arrived in France. She didn't speak French. She didn't know what to do with her life. She felt lost and purposeless. Then one day, Julia had lunch at a restaurant in Rouen. She ordered sole meunière, a simple fish dish with butter, lemon, and parsley. When she took her first bite, something awakened inside her. The flavors exploded on her tongue. The butter was rich and golden. The fish was perfectly cooked. It was the most delicious thing she had ever tasted. In that moment, at age 37, Julia Child discovered her passion, French cooking. She enrolled in the famous cooking school Le Cordon Bleu. She was the only woman in a class full of professional male chefs. She was much older than the other students. She was taller than everyone else, hunched over the cooking stations that were too low for her height. She didn't care. She was in love with food. Julia studied obsessively. She practiced techniques for hours. She made the same recipe again and again until it was perfect. She filled notebooks with recipes and observations. She shopped at French markets, learning about ingredients. She cooked constantly, driving her husband crazy with elaborate meals every night. After finishing school, Julia and 2 French friends decided to write a cookbook teaching Americans how to cook French food. They worked on it for years, testing every recipe dozens of times. The manuscript was 700 pages long, far too long for most publishers. Finally, in 1961, Mastering the Art of French Cooking was published. Julia was 49 years old. The book became a bestseller, revolutionizing American cooking. Then something unexpected happened. In 1962, Julia appeared on a book review show on public television. She was supposed to discuss her cookbook, but she brought a hot plate and ingredients and cooked an omelet on live TV. She was funny, enthusiastic, and completely natural. Viewers loved her. The television station asked if she'd like to do a cooking show. At age 50, Julia Child became a television star. Her show, The French Chef, ran for 10 years and made her a household name. She published more cookbooks. She appeared on shows. She became an icon. Julia Child didn't discover her passion until 37. She didn't start teaching others until 49. She didn't become famous until 50. But she changed American cooking forever. She taught millions of people that cooking could be fun, that French food wasn't intimidating, that anyone could learn. She proved that finding your calling later in life doesn't make it any less powerful. Samuel L. Jackson, breaking through at 43. For years, Samuel L. Jackson was a struggling actor. He did theater in New York. He took small roles in movies and TV shows. He worked steadily but never became famous. He struggled with addiction. He went to rehab. He got clean and kept auditioning, kept taking small roles, kept hoping for his big break. Jackson was in his 40s, an age when most actors have either made it or accepted they never will. He kept working, taking whatever roles he could get. Small parts, minor characters, blink and you'll miss him appearances. Then, in 1991, director Spike Lee cast Jackson in Jungle Fever. Jackson was 43 years old. His performance was electrifying. He played a crack addict with such raw intensity that critics took notice. He won awards. Suddenly, people were paying attention to this actor who had been working for decades. The next year, Quentin Tarantino cast Jackson in Pulp Fiction. Jackson's performance as Jules Winfield became iconic. His monologue from Ezekiel became one of the most quoted scenes in movie history. At age 46, Samuel L. Jackson finally became a star. Since then, Jackson has become one of the most successful actors in Hollywood. He's appeared in over 150 films. He's worked with every major director. He's earned billions at the box office. His movies have made more money than those of any other actor in history. He didn't get his first major role until 43. He didn't become famous until 46. But he became one of the biggest stars in the world. He proved that persistence pays off, even if it takes decades. Martha Stewart, building an empire at 35. Martha Stewart grew up in a working-class family in New Jersey. She worked as a model to pay for college. She became a stockbroker on Wall Street and did well financially. She got married and had a daughter. From the outside, her life looked successful and complete. But Martha felt restless. She loved cooking, gardening, decorating, entertaining. These were hobbies, things she did on weekends. They weren't a career. They certainly weren't how she made money. At age 35, Martha made a bold decision. She quit her successful career as a stockbroker and started a catering business out of her basement. Her friends thought she was making a huge mistake. She had a good job with good pay. Why throw it away to make sandwiches? But Martha had a vision. She didn't just want to cater events. She wanted to teach people about style, elegance, and beautiful living. She believed that everyone deserved to live beautifully, not just the wealthy. Her catering business grew. She published her first book at 41, Entertaining, a guide to hosting parties with style. The book was a massive success. She published more books. She created a magazine. She appeared on television. She built a multimedia empire around the concept of beautiful, stylish living. By her 50s, Martha Stewart was a billionaire with a company that bore her name. She had created an entire industry around homemaking and entertaining. She had turned what society dismissed as women's work into a respected, profitable business. She started over at 35. She built an empire. She proved that it's never too late to pursue your true passion, even if it means leaving security behind. What these stories teach us. Look at these stories again. Colonel Sanders at 65. Vera Wang at 40. Laura Ingalls Wilder at 65. Julia Child at 37. Samuel L. Jackson at 43. Martha Stewart at 35. What do they have in common? First, they all started late by society's standards. None of them were child prodigies. None of them achieved success in their 20s. They were ordinary people who lived ordinary lives until they decided to pursue something extraordinary. Second, they all faced rejection and doubt. Colonel Sanders was rejected 1,009 times. Vera Wang was told she was too old. Laura's manuscripts were rejected. Julia was an outsider in French cooking schools. Samuel worked for decades without recognition. Martha's friends thought she was crazy. Third, they all had experience that actually helped them. Their years of living weren't wasted time. Vera Wang's years in fashion journalism gave her industry knowledge. Laura's pioneer childhood gave her stories to tell. Julia's life experience made her relatable. Samuel's years of small roles honed his craft. Martha's diverse career gave her business skills. Fourth, they all had passion and persistence. They loved what they were doing. They didn't give up when things got hard. They kept going, kept trying, kept believing. Fifth, they all proved that late is just a word. Their achievements weren't diminished because they started later. If anything, their maturity and experience made their success more meaningful. Why we think it's too late? So why do so many people believe it's too late to start something new? Why do we give up on our dreams? Fear. We're afraid of failing. We're afraid of looking foolish. We're afraid of starting at the bottom when we're used to being competent. It feels safer to stay where we are, even if we're unhappy, than to risk trying something new. Comparison. We compare ourselves to others who are younger and already successful. We see 25-year-olds running companies and think, I'm 45. I've missed my chance. We forget that everyone's journey is different. Society's messages. We're bombarded with messages about youth. 30 under 30 lists. Young entrepreneurs to watch. These celebrations of youth, while well-meaning, create the impression that after a certain age, you're past your prime. Sunk cost fallacy. We've invested years in our current career or path. Starting over feels like throwing away that investment. But the years you've already spent aren't a reason to spend more years being unhappy. They're gone either way. The question is how you'll spend the years ahead. Practical concerns. Bills. Mortgages. Families. Responsibilities. These are real concerns. But they're not insurmountable. You can start small. You can transition gradually. You don't have to quit your job tomorrow to begin pursuing your dream. Self-doubt. We doubt our abilities. I'm not talented enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't have what it takes. But talent and intelligence matter less than determination. Most successful people aren't the most talented. They're the most persistent. The truth about starting late. Here's the truth. Starting late has advantages. You have experience. You've lived. You've learned. You've developed skills. You understand yourself better. You know what matters to you. This wisdom is invaluable. You have perspective. Young people often chase success without understanding what it means. You've seen enough to know that success isn't just money or fame. You can pursue what truly fulfills you, not what impresses others. You have less to prove. You're not trying to prove yourself to your parents or your peers. You're past caring what everyone thinks. This freedom is powerful. You can pursue your passion for its own sake. You have resources, maybe not millions, but probably more than you had at 20. Savings, connections, credit, knowledge. These resources can help you start. You have urgency. When you're young, you feel immortal. You have all the time in the world. But as you get older, you realize time is limited. This urgency can be motivating. It pushes you to act now rather than someday. How to start late. If you're feeling inspired to start something new, here's how to begin. First, give yourself permission. Stop telling yourself you're too old. Stop comparing yourself to others. You're not too late. You're right on time for your own journey. Second, start small. You don't have to quit your job tomorrow. You don't have to risk everything. Start with one small step. Take a class. Read a book. Spend an hour a week on your passion. Small steps lead to big changes. Third, use your experience. Don't see your years as a disadvantage. They're your superpower. How can your life experience enhance this new pursuit? What unique perspective do you bring? Fourth, expect challenges. Starting something new is hard at any age. You'll face obstacles. You'll doubt yourself. You'll want to quit. Expect this. Prepare for it. Decide now that you'll keep going anyway. Fifth, find your people. Connect with others who are also starting late or who have started late and succeeded. Their encouragement will sustain you. Their stories will inspire you. You're not alone. Sixth, measure success differently. Success isn't just money or fame. Success is pursuing what matters to you. Success is growing and learning. Success is doing something you love. By this measure, you're successful the moment you begin. Seventh, be patient with yourself. You won't be great immediately. You'll be a beginner, and beginners make mistakes. That's okay. Every expert was once a beginner. Give yourself time and grace to learn. Real stories of ordinary people starting late. Let me share some stories of ordinary people who started late. Margaret moved to a new city at age 55 after her divorce. She had always wanted to be a yoga teacher, but never pursued it. In her new city, where nobody knew her, she enrolled in teacher training. Now, at 60, she teaches yoga to seniors. She's not famous. She doesn't make much money, but she loves what she does. David worked in accounting for 30 years. At 52, he started taking guitar lessons, something he'd wanted to do since high school. He'll never play concerts or record albums, but he plays in his church worship band and at open mic nights. Music brings him joy he never had from spreadsheets. Shin retired from teaching at 65. She had always loved baking. She started selling homemade cookies at her local farmer's market. By 70, she had a thriving small business with regular customers who waited in line for her treats. She's not getting rich, but she's happy. Robert lost his corporate job at 45 during the recession. Instead of finding another corporate position, he started a handyman business. He makes less money but has more freedom. He enjoys working with his hands. He's his own boss. He calls it the best thing that ever happened to him. These aren't famous people. They didn't build empires or become millionaires. But they started late, and they found fulfillment. Their stories matter just as much as the famous success stories. Your time is now. Right now, as you read these words, you have a choice. You can tell yourself it's too late. You can list all the reasons why you can't start something new. You can stay where you are, safe and unfulfilled. Or you can begin. You can take one small step toward the thing you've always wanted to do. You can enroll in that class. You can start that project. You can pursue that dream. You can become who you've always wanted to be. Yes, you might fail. You might struggle. You might face rejection. But you also might succeed beyond your wildest dreams. You might discover talents you didn't know you had. You might inspire others. You might look back in 10 years and thank yourself for having the courage to begin. The years are going to pass anyway. 10 years from now, you'll be 10 years older whether you pursue your dream or not. The only question is whether you'll be 10 years closer to your dream or 10 years further from it. Think about the person you want to become, the life you want to live, the legacy you want to leave. Now ask yourself, what's one thing I can do today to move toward that vision? It doesn't have to be big. Send one email. Make one phone call. Spend 1 hour researching. Take one small action. But do something. Today. Because here's the beautiful truth. You're not too late. Your dreams are still possible. Your potential hasn't expired. The only time that matters is now. And now is the perfect time to begin. Conclusion. Colonel Sanders was 65. Vera Wang was 40. Laura Ingalls Wilder was 65. Julia Child was 37. Samuel L. Jackson was 43. Martha Stewart was 35. They all started late. They all succeeded beyond measure. They all proved that age is just a number, that experience is valuable, that it's never too late to become who you want to be. You might be 35 or 45 or 55 or 65 or 75. It doesn't matter. What matters is what you do next. What matters is whether you have the courage to begin. The world needs what you have to offer. Your unique perspective, your particular talents, your specific experiences. No one else has exactly what you have. No one else can contribute exactly what you can contribute. But you have to start. You have to take that first step, despite your fear, despite your doubt, despite the voice in your head saying you're too old. Remember, the best time to start was years ago. The second best time is now. Your time is now. Your moment is here. Your chance is today. Don't let it pass you by. Start late. Start scared. Start imperfectly. But start. Because you're not too late. You're right on time for the rest of your life. And it's going to be extraordinary.